What if your body has been quietly aging faster than it should, and you didn't even realize it? Many people over 60 assume that feeling weaker, slower, or more tired is simply part of getting older. But in reality, certain warning signs may suggest your body needs a little extra attention. The encouraging news is that many of these changes can often be slowed and sometimes even improved with simple daily habits you can start today. My name is Dr. Alan Mercer, and I've spent more than 3 decades caring for patients in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. Today, I'll walk you through 9 warning signs that may suggest you're aging faster than expected, along with practical, gentle ways to support healthier aging. Stay with me until the end, because the final warning sign is one that most people never expect, and it might be the most important one of all. Let's start with warning sign number 9, loss of muscle strength. I remember a patient named Harold, 73 years old, who came into my office frustrated because he could no longer open a jar of pickles without asking his wife for help. He told me, "Doc, I used to be the strong one in this house. Harold isn't alone." After age 30, the body naturally begins to lose a small percentage of muscle mass each decade, and that loss can speed up significantly after 60. This process is sometimes called sarcopenia, and it's associated with reduced strength, slower movement, and a higher risk of falls. Muscle isn't just about lifting heavy things. It supports your balance, protects your joints, and helps regulate your metabolism. The good news is that muscle loss is not entirely out of your control. Protein intake plays a meaningful role, and many older adults simply aren't getting enough of it in their daily meals. Foods like eggs, fish, poultry, beans, and Greek yogurt can help support muscle maintenance. Strength training, even something as simple as bodyweight exercises or light resistance bands 2 to 3 times a week, has been shown to help preserve muscle in older adults. And something as basic as a daily walk can help keep those muscles engaged. Recovery matters too. Muscles need adequate sleep and rest days to repair themselves, so pushing too hard without recovery can sometimes do more harm than good. Have you noticed it's harder to open jars, carry groceries, or climb stairs the way you used to? Let me know in the comments, because you might be surprised how many people relate to Harold's story. Now let's talk about warning sign number 8. Poor balance. I once had a patient, Dorothy, who told me she'd started holding onto walls when she walked through her own home. She hadn't fallen yet, but she felt unsteady, and that feeling alone had started to make her afraid to leave the house. Balance is a complex system that depends on several parts of your body working together. Your vestibular system, located in your inner ear, helps your brain understand where your body is in space. Your vision provides critical information about your surroundings. And, believe it or not, the strength in your feet and ankles plays a bigger role in balance than most people realize. When any of these systems weaken, even slightly, your risk of falling can increase. Muscle weakness, particularly in the legs and core, is often a contributing factor as well. The encouraging part is that balance can often be trained, much like a muscle. Simple exercises such as standing on one foot while holding onto a counter, practicing heel-to-toe walking, or even certain styles of gentle yoga and tai chi have been associated with improved balance in older adults. Fall prevention is one of the most important things we can focus on after 60 because a single fall can sometimes change the entire trajectory of someone's independence. If you've noticed yourself feeling less steady, that's worth mentioning to your healthcare provider, not because it's something to fear, but because it's something that can often be addressed. Let's move to warning sign number 7, walking noticeably slower. Many people don't realize that walking speed is sometimes considered by researchers to be one of the simplest indicators of overall physical function in older adults. It's not about winning a race. It's about what a slower gait might reflect underneath the surface. A gradual decline in walking speed can sometimes be associated with changes in cardiovascular health, since your heart and lungs need to efficiently deliver oxygen to working muscles. It can also reflect muscle health, joint comfort, and even balance confidence. I had a patient named Ray who used to walk 3 miles every morning with his dog. Over the course of a year, without really noticing it, his pace had slowed considerably. When we talked about it, he realized he'd been avoiding certain hills and taking more breaks. Small changes like this often creep up gradually, which is why they can be easy to miss. The reassuring news is that walking speed can often improve with consistent movement. Building a daily walking habit, even starting with short 10-minute sessions and gradually increasing distance, has been associated with better cardiovascular health and stronger muscles over time. If you've noticed you're walking slower than you used to, or that a walk that once felt easy now feels effortful, it may be worth mentioning at your next checkup. Now, warning sign number 6, feeling tired most days. This is one of the most common concerns I hear in my office, and it's also one of the most misunderstood. Fatigue after 60 isn't automatically something to worry about, but persistent, unexplained tiredness deserves attention rather than being brushed aside. There are so many possible contributors. Sleep quality often changes as we age, and conditions like sleep apnea become more common, sometimes without the person even realizing they have it. Hydration is another surprisingly overlooked factor. Many older adults don't drink enough water throughout the day, and even mild dehydration can cause noticeable fatigue. Nutrition matters as well, particularly getting enough iron, vitamin B12, and overall caloric intake. Certain medications can also cause fatigue as a side effect, so it's always worth reviewing your prescriptions with your doctor or pharmacist periodically. Thyroid issues and anemia are two medical conditions that can present primarily as fatigue, and both are typically identified through a simple blood test. Stress and emotional strain can be physically exhausting too, even when we don't consciously feel stressed. I always tell my patients that fatigue is your body's way of asking for attention. If you've been feeling tired most days despite getting what should be adequate rest, that's a conversation worth having with your healthcare provider because there's often a specific, addressable reason behind it. Let's talk about warning sign number 5, memory becoming noticeably worse. This one tends to worry people the most, so let's start with something reassuring. Occasionally forgetting where you put your keys, blanking on a word, or needing a moment to recall a name is a normal part of aging and is not typically something to be alarmed about. What's different is when memory changes begin to interfere with daily life, such as forgetting how to get to a familiar place, repeating the same questions within a short period, or struggling to follow a conversation you'd normally understand easily. If you notice this pattern in yourself or a loved one, it's worth discussing with a healthcare provider, simply to understand what might be contributing. There's encouraging research around several everyday habits that are associated with supporting brain health. Mental stimulation, things like reading, puzzles, learning a new skill, or even engaging conversation, appears to help keep the brain active. Quality sleep plays a major role in memory consolidation, meaning your brain actually processes and stores memories while you rest. Physical exercise increases blood flow to the brain and has been associated with better cognitive function in numerous studies. Social interaction seems to matter more than people expect, since isolation has been linked to faster cognitive decline in some research. Nutrition, particularly diets rich in vegetables, fish, and healthy fats, has been associated with brain health in several long-term studies. And managing stress matters too, since chronic stress hormones can affect memory over time. I had a patient, Margaret, who was convinced she was developing serious memory problems. After we worked on her sleep and she started walking daily with a friend, she came back 3 months later and told me she felt sharper than she had in years. Now, warning sign number 4, unintentional weight loss. This is one I want you to pay particularly close attention to. If you've lost a noticeable amount of weight without trying, that's something that should always be discussed with a healthcare provider, rather than assumed to be a positive sign. There are many possible explanations, and most of them are manageable once identified. Loss of appetite can happen for a variety of reasons, including medication side effects, dental issues that make eating uncomfortable, or even changes in taste and smell that sometimes occur with age. Digestive issues can affect how well your body absorbs nutrients from food. Muscle loss itself, the sarcopenia we talked about earlier, can contribute to unintentional weight loss as well. And certain medical conditions can present with weight loss as an early symptom, which is exactly why it's important not to ignore this sign. I want to be clear that unintentional weight loss is not something to panic about, but it is something to take seriously enough to bring up at your next appointment. Catching the underlying cause early typically leads to better outcomes and more treatment options. Let's move on to warning sign number 3, bruising easily or wounds healing slowly. Have you noticed that a small bump now leaves a bruise that lasts for weeks, or that a minor cut takes much longer to close than it used to? This is incredibly common after 60, and there are several reasons behind it. Skin naturally becomes thinner and loses some of its elasticity and collagen with age, making blood vessels closer to the surface more vulnerable to injury. Nutrition plays a role here too. Adequate protein and certain vitamins, particularly vitamin C and vitamin K, support skin strength and healthy wound healing. Circulation can also change with age, and reduced blood flow to certain areas, particularly the lower legs, can slow the healing process. Vitamin deficiencies, especially in vitamin D or B12, have been associated with slower recovery in some studies. Medications are another important factor to consider, since blood thinners and certain other common prescriptions can increase bruising as a known side effect. If you've noticed this pattern, it doesn't necessarily mean something is seriously wrong, but it's absolutely worth mentioning to your doctor, especially if bruises appear without any clear cause or if wounds seem to be taking unusually long to heal. Now, warning sign number 2, taking much longer to recover. This might show up as needing 2 or 3 days to bounce back from a workout that used to leave you feeling fine the next morning, or feeling wiped out for a week after a minor cold that would have passed in a couple of days when you were younger. Recovery time is often influenced by inflammation levels in the body, which can gradually increase with age in a process some researchers call inflammaging. Sleep quality directly affects your body's ability to repair tissue and restore energy. Protein intake supports muscle repair, which is especially important after physical activity or illness. How you approach exercise recovery matters too. Older adults often benefit from a bit more rest between intense activities, along with gentle movement like stretching or walking on recovery days rather than complete inactivity. Hydration supports nearly every recovery process in the body, from joint lubrication to nutrient transport. And chronic stress can interfere with your body's natural repair mechanisms, sometimes without you even realizing the connection. I had a patient named Frank, a retired contractor, who used to brag about never getting sick. When he started noticing that colds knocked him out for a full week instead of 2 days, he came to see me. We focused on his sleep and hydration, and within a couple of months, he told me he felt like his old self again. Have you noticed that you need more time to bounce back these days, whether from exercise, illness, or even a late night? If you're still watching, you're already taking an important step toward understanding and supporting your own healthy aging, and I want you to know that. Now we've arrived at warning sign number 1, the one I promised would surprise most people. You've stopped enjoying life. This might not be the physical symptom you expected to hear about, but in my 35 years of practice, I can tell you it is often the most overlooked and one of the most important. I had a patient named Eleanor, 78 years old, physically healthy by every measure we could test. Blood work normal, heart strong. But when I asked how she was doing, she paused and said, "Honestly, doctor, I just don't feel excited about anything anymore." That sentence has stayed with me for years because emotional health is deeply connected to physical health, and the two cannot truly be separated. Loneliness has become increasingly common among older adults, particularly after retirement, the loss of a spouse, or when children and grandchildren move farther away. A sense of purpose matters too. Many people build their identity around a career or around raising a family, and when that role changes, it can leave an unexpected void. Social isolation has been associated in research with a range of health effects, both emotional and physical. Depression in older adults is sometimes missed because it doesn't always look like sadness. It can look like fatigue, irritability, or simply losing interest in things you used to love. If you've noticed that hobbies you once enjoyed no longer bring you joy, that's worth paying attention to, and it's absolutely worth discussing with a healthcare provider because support is available and it genuinely helps. Physical activity, staying connected with family, and engaging with your community are all associated with improved emotional well-being in older adults. Eleanor and I worked together, and I encouraged her to reconnect with a painting class she'd abandoned years earlier. 6 months later, she told me she felt like herself again. I want you to hear this clearly. Your emotional health matters just as much as your blood pressure or your cholesterol numbers. Never dismiss it as simply part of getting older. So there you have it, all 9 warning signs: muscle strength, balance, walking speed, fatigue, memory, unintentional weight loss, bruising and slow healing, recovery time, and finally, emotional well-being. If several of these resonated with you, please don't feel discouraged. Awareness is the first step toward positive change, and many of these patterns can often be supported with consistent, gentle daily habits. I want to leave you with something important. Aging itself is inevitable, and there's nothing wrong with growing older. But how you age, how strong you feel, how steady you walk, how connected you remain to the people and activities you love, that part often remains within your influence far more than people realize. Small, consistent habits, eating enough protein, moving your body daily, prioritizing sleep, staying socially connected, and paying attention to your emotional well-being can make a meaningful difference over time. If anything discussed today feels like it might apply to you, I'd encourage you to bring it up with your own healthcare provider. They know your history and can guide you toward the right next steps. This video is meant to inform and support you, not to replace personalized medical advice. If you found this video helpful, I'd be so grateful if you'd give it a like and consider subscribing so you don't miss future videos like this one. Please share it with a parent, a friend, or anyone in your life over 60 who might benefit from hearing this. And I'd love to know, in the comments below, which of these 9 warning signs surprised you the most. Was it the muscle strength, the memory changes, or perhaps, like so many of my patients, the very last one about emotional well-being? Take care of yourself, take care of the people you love, and I'll see you in the next video. This is Dr. Alan Mercer, wishing you strength, health, and joy in the years ahead.